Hello, hi, and this evening I baked a gingerbread cake. Gingerbread has all the spices the bard spoke about. All right, and his love labors lost. Look at my LinkedIn webpage for my endeavors dealing with figures of speech. Here is are all these spices, cloves and nutmeg and etc. Would not give the secret away for anything. But if you want your own gingerbread cake done easily, I recommend a spice cake mix. And you can even add raisins and walnuts, but that's not done. That's not how gingerbread is done, I'm told. So that's an option. Anyways, here is my gingerbread cake and cream cheese icing. I have kept it a minimum. All right, this magazine had it. This is my gingerbread cake. And it looks all nice in a bun pan. Gingerbread cake in a bun pan means that Santa Claus is going to come calling. But during the Christmas season, it's not yet Christmas season. I mean, you use Christmas cream cheese icing just a little bit, and and the recipe came from this magazine made in Canada. All right, so that much is what. Uh, Before I go on to Isabel Allende for this time, it's Reckless Appetites by Jacqueline Deval, Deval, and she has some work on coffee. Okay, um, coffee, uh, romance and ritual, coffee and the Paris cafes. So some writers such as Balzac and Stendhal regarded coffee almost as a drug, a way to stay awake and to stimulate creativity. Stendhal studied philosophy and drama in his Paris attic room and routinely flooded himself with coffee for the benefit of his art. I've been drinking a debitas of coffee every day for the past month. I didn't drink any today, and I'm infinitely gayer, more on a level with other men. More like this is like happy, not gay as in gay. He wrote in his diary on May 17th, 1805. It would seem that coffee produces geniuses and gloominess. Have already experienced this result, which is striking in my case several times. The telephone? Landline telephone? All right, so that much, and rest you can enjoy yourself. This is a whole book. So more on coffee to make an apple pie, scones and crumpets with steaming pots of tea. That's the British. Your roast meats, yeah, Yorkshire puddings. I made vanilla pudding the other day, very delicious. Variation of vanilla pudding, saffron pudding. Skin's gonna glow with saffron. Saffron's very good for the skin. At least the Indians believe this. And Walter Scott enjoyed a meal excessively on air, an act considered wickedly sensual by his father, who poured cold water into the soup to drown the devil. An Englishman thinks he's moral when he's only uncomfortable. Oh my God, this man had really a bad mother. George Bernard Shaw wrote in Man and Superman. Does the pleasure denying component of the Puritan legacy make us proclaim ourselves sinners today when we indulge in a particularly caloric and high fat dessert? Or prompt some among us to cluck happily with disapproval at the self indulgence of others? Well, the different ways, different ways. So that's the Puritan heritage. They did not indulge themselves in coffee either. This goes to the Boston Pilgrim Fathers also, who did not indulge in desserts. And that tradition has been broken. They don't. There are ale houses as in London, in Toronto. Yeah. My husband, even now, Indian desserts. All right. So I make the most difficult of desserts for him. And, friends win the simplest in no sugar. It's still nice. I don't know how they do it. Or here I'm pouring over my stovetop or my oven and really pulling off these marvelous desserts. But my husband is, Pretty average dessert, but sometimes they do really good one. They bring from the store and things like that. So, but that's okay. But my days of I have other things on my agenda these days, so less of entertaining. But I have a party plan, a wedding, to celebrate a newly wedded couple. Anyways, going back to Isabel Allende, where does taste end and smell begin? They're inseparable. The temptation of coffee is not born of the taste, which leaves smoky dregs in memory, but in that intense and mysterious fragrance of remote forests. I can relate this. So she has also written roses. But as I add myself, rose flavor is used in Canada cooking for desserts, and rose milk is both Tamil and Lebanese cuisine belongs to it. So roses, I mean, whatever love, rose usually stands for love. I mean, this whole thing of unmentionable standing for roses is killing the joy roses bring, right? To people. I mean, you say, I love you, Valentine's Day roses. Anyway, so I'll read a quick few lines and then we'll see what Spotify has. Coffee has the flavor of graduate chemical engineering school. Tea has the taste of undergraduate chemical engineering school. The aroma of both bring assignments and exams to mind. If coffee is the best is prima facie, hosting teas is my mea culpa. Both Snow White and Sleeping Beauty could have been woken up from their sleep by coffee. Cinderella could have been seduced, could have seduced Prince Charming by hosting a tea. Why all that? The ball, the slippers, for Snow White too, the casket, the seven dwarfs, just coffee, Sleeping Beauty. He could have got just, poured a cup of coffee and given it to her. Well, Robin Hood and his band of merry men could have sat around the fire in Sherwood Forest and drunk coffee rather than ale. In Canada, the indigenous tribes could have convinced the English and French over a cup of tea with gingerbread cake. They went to battle. I read somewhere that the indigenous used arrowheads, and it was hard getting it out and that sort of thing. Out of a obviously wronged British man. As history has it, they said holy mackerel and served fish and chips. Chips for vegetarian folk like me. Thank you, indigenous people. Your cuisine has very little vegetarian stuff. This is a story of how the English colonized Canada, and in India, people they traded their recipes for the gingerbread spice, cloves, and nutmeg. And we have this straight from the bard himself, and the bard always spoke the truth. Okay, so that's that bit. One last bit, Spotify. What's gonna come, Spotify? So set to Coleman Hawkins. Mellow. this was Coleman Hot